Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is really exciting to see this big full house, everybody here to support our integrity officers. I appreciate all the commissioners who are here and all of the friends and other city people to support the integrity officers who are so important to the work that we do. I want to thank and recognize first Judge Ben Lerner, who's here today to swear all of you in. Most of you know him from when he was here with the city, but for those of you who don't, Judge Lerner was the chief public defender in the city for many years, and then he became a judge for the Court of Common Pleas. He was there for, I think, 15, 16 years, until Mayor Kenney snapped him up to be the Deputy Managing Director for Criminal Justice. And he has left the city. He has been called back onto the bench to try cases again. And we certainly miss him in the city, but we're really pleased that he is here today to swear in the integrity officers. I also want to thank Mayor Kenney. I can't thank Mayor Kenney enough. Since he was appointed and since he's been in office, he has always emphasized the importance of integrity and honest government. He always affirms that integrity has to be a cornerstone of our government. It's not a separate department, but it's just the way we do business here in the city. And I am very confident that he's going to continue to support the Inspector General's office, the Chief Integrity Office, all of you integrity officers, and give us the tools and the budgets that we need to continue to be so successful. And most of all, the most important people to thank, of course, are you, the integrity officers. I can't say enough about how important and how difficult your job is, and that you all do it with grace, without complaining, and you support the work we do. We need you more than anybody to further our mission of making sure the city operates honestly and with integrity. I always say that one of the greatest tools that we have to keep our government free from corruption is the cooperation that we have between and among the different departments. When we all work together and when we stand together, we are far stronger than when we try to do something alone. We at the Inspector General's office, we're a staff of 20. The Chief Integrity Office with Ellen is a staff of 2, and there are 20,000 some city employees, and there are hundreds of millions of dollars out there in city contracts that we try to monitor. Obviously, there is no way we can do that without you people in all of the different departments helping us out. So when we work together, that's how we accomplish all of the great things that we accomplish. So, accomplishments. What we together have done over the year, I want to talk a little bit about that. Our annual report is out. It's in, you'll all get a copy of that later on in the ceremony. But I want to just summarize a little bit about what we've accomplished this year. This year, the savings and recovery was over $9 million. And I want to point out that that is 5 times the budget of the Inspector General's office. So I think that this program that we're all working on together has been a pretty good investment. Our contract compliance unit that monitors a lot of the big contracts and deals with contractors who overbill or violate policies reviewed $220 million worth of funding and recovered over $1 million this year. The $9 million in savings and recovery, a lot of that is our pension disqualification program, where we make sure that somebody, a city employee who has been convicted of a crime that relates to his or her job, gets disqualified from receiving a pension. And then also some of those savings come from cases where you help us substantiate theft of time allegations, and in those cases, when somebody gets fired, we are able to recover the money that they may have stolen from the city. In addition to the savings, this year there were 31 employees terminated and 44 suspensions and demotions. And those cases ranged from the unauthorized collection of commercial trash, sometimes in exchange for money, violating the secondary employment rules, including somebody who reported to a private job in a city uniform in a city car. Misrepresentations on timesheets or leave requests, and of course, residency cases. And again, none of these cases would be possible without the help of our integrity officers. These cases, these type of administrative cases, I think send a really strong message that all employees, no matter what level they are in government, no matter what level of responsibility, they all have to follow the rules. On to criminal cases. There were 15 criminal enforcements this year and over $1 million in restitution as a result of those cases. And just a note of personal pride here, a special recognition by the Department of Justice for our long-standing relationship that resulted in the last 10 years, 40 criminal convictions and millions of dollars in restitution, and a number of people from the Inspector General's office were honored in that ceremony. Okay, another really important thing that we've seen is that complaints are increasing. Complaints are now 8 times what they were 10 years ago. Those are complaints mostly from city employees, and that's how we start our investigations and how we do what we do. So those are pretty much what our statistics have been over the year. But I want to point out that what the statistics don't show is what I think has been happening in the city gradually over the course of the years, which is a change. We're policing ourselves, we're cleaning our own house, and all of that, I think, gives confidence to people that the city can operate honestly and with integrity, that we take care of ourselves. Most important, we are protecting the reputation of the probably 99.9% of city employees who are honest, who are hardworking, and whose reputation should not be tarnished by the very, very small percentage of people who try to get around the system. So that's pretty much the year. Just a few things looking forward into 2018, which we're already in. We have some new partnerships that we're very excited about with the Controller's Office and the District Attorney's Office. We continue to work closely with the Ethics Board, and we are going in 2018, of course, to continue to support the city's very important policies. We're going to continue to look at nonprofits. We will continue all of these contract compliance cases. We will have some involvement, hopefully, in the opioid lawsuit. We continue to work with Rebuild. We, as you know, have a brand new whistleblower protection law, and we are supporting that law as cases come in. And finally, our continued support to the school district, where we supervise their Inspector General's office. Okay, so I am going to turn this over to Ellen Kaplan, but before I do, I just want to recognize one other person here who's standing in the doorway, Crystal Baker. You all know Crystal. She has been our contact with integrity officers, and I know you've called her to refer cases and to ask questions. Crystal is moving on, but she's not moving far. She is going to be the Deputy Chief Integrity Officer, so you will probably continue to have contact with her, although we are going to miss her. And along those lines, I want to introduce somebody else to you, Nicole Harrington. Nicole, stand up. Nicole is going to be your new contact at the Inspector General's office. She is one of our most senior investigators. I have complete confidence that she's going to be able to help you with whatever you need. She is already doing a great job of dealing with different integrity officers and some really significant cases. So take a look at Nicole, her phone, just call her at our main number, and she will be happy to help you. Okay, Ellen.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say, of course, thank you to Mayor Kenney for his tremendous support of the Office of the Chief Integrity Officer. He does allow me to sit next to him, and so even if he tries to sneak by my office sometime without me calling out to him, he's usually not all that successful, but you've been just a tremendous support and a great pleasure to work with. Also want to thank Amy, of course, for letting me steal Crystal from her office. It is a tremendous loss for the Inspector General's office, but it is a phenomenal addition to my office. And Stephanie, who, as you know, was the deputy for my first 2 years here, I could not be standing here today were it not for her making me look good, and I so appreciate it, and I know that Krista will be the same. So thank you for being there, and thank you so much for coming. So as you all know, when we had the meeting last fall, we talked about the expansion of the Integrity Officers Program. And the reason that we expanded the program to include liaisons to the Office of the Chief Integrity Officer is because we found in our ethics survey that we conducted, not at in the 2006 Integrity Week, that too many people in city government did not know where to turn if they needed advice, if they needed to report wrongdoing, and so we set out to have liaisons to our office so that we could make absolutely sure to the greatest possible extent that employees know who to turn to. And I'm very happy to say that I think we've made some strides since the survey was taken. We'll find out when the survey is taken again during Integrity Week 2018, that we do get many calls from people in government who want to ask questions about issues under executive orders, primarily gifts, outside employment, nepotism, sexual harassment, whistleblowing, and also want referrals to the ethics board for issues that are under their jurisdiction, like conflicts of interest and political activity. So again, I thank you in advance for being willing to be the liaisons to our office and to ensure that ethics-related information gets out to your employees. Also to coordinate trainings on specific issues that your employees may be asking about. There are some issues that seem to be more prevalent in some departments than others, and Stephanie and I certainly provided trainings. Crystal and I will continue to do so on specific topics, and as I think you all know from the past, we're willing to come out to where sanitation workers are at 6 o'clock in the morning, and if you have night meetings, we're willing to do that too. Also, you have a lot of communications inside your individual departments that we hope you will use to help broadcast news about ethics issues. So in the next few weeks, you're going to be hearing from us about two specific issues. One, of course, is financial disclosure. As you all know, most of the people in this room do file at least the state financial disclosure form. We did a training recently for a lot of the department heads, commission heads, and the cabinet on financial disclosure, because there are certain common, I won't say mistakes, but omissions that people have in their financial disclosure forms, and we're happy to come out and do trainings for your department. Again, they're due May 1st of every year. The electronic filing system is not up and running yet. It will be operational in the beginning of April, and as soon as that happens, we'll be reaching out to each of you. Another is political activity. We have an election coming up, a primary election on May 15th, and it's a good time to let people in your department know what the city's rules are about political activity. Again, thank you so much for participating in this program. You're really important partners for us in making sure that we have the strongest possible ethical culture in city government. So thanks so much.
I'd like to introduce the mayor, who needs no introduction. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by recognizing Amy Ellen Kaplan and everyone at the Office of the Inspector General and the Office of the Chief Integrity Officer for their hard work day in and day out. It's not an easy job. You're usually telling people things they don't want to hear and trying to make them abide by it. So I am guilty of that myself when I'm told that something I want to do doesn't look good and wouldn't be the right thing to do, and I'm glad they're there all the time. I'm also pleased that Judge Lerner is here with us today to administer the oath to you. To me, good government is about hard work and dedication. It is about working to ensure fairness in all aspects of government. It is choosing honest city business over fraud and the abuse of power. Ethical conduct is an essential aspect of our vision for Philadelphia city government. Deputy Commissioner Ralph DiPietro of L&I is a hard-working city employee who has gone beyond the call of duty to root out fraud and corruption in government. It is my pleasure to congratulate Ralph on being this year's recipient of the Joan Markman Award for Integrity. It's a well-deserved honor to recognize the work of a dedicated public servant. I want a city that people not only trust, but one that they are proud of. For many years, Philadelphia City's government's image was tarnished. I believe that we have made great strides to challenge that image, thanks to outstanding individuals like Ralph. And think about it. I mean, I've been a city resident and born and raised in the city. L&I has always had its issues throughout the years. There's always some scandal here or there. And to have someone from that department receiving this award shows you how this city and how this department has really, truly changed. So thank you, Ralph. Appreciate it. The work of the Office of the Inspector General and the Office of the Chief Integrity Officer and the many integrity officers here today has enabled us to rebuild the trust Philadelphians have in city employees. Integrity officers work as a team to root out fraud, corruption, and other forms of employee misconduct and inefficiency. Integrity officers, the OIG, and the CIO are crucial to solving ethics issues within city government. Your work helps to ensure the integrity and honesty of Philadelphia. All of you go above and beyond expectations of a city employee by taking on the responsibility of being an integrity officer. I want to thank you for your dedication to making Philadelphia city government work the best it can be. Keep up the good work, and I really want to thank you because we are in the midst of a sea change of policy when it comes to our schools, and we're looking for money to educate our kids the best way possible. We lose a whole cohort of residents when they're not millennials anymore and they get married and they want to have kids, and then they start making those decisions to leave the city for a better school system. We need all the money we can find, and what you do and what these guys do is create a situation where that money can be rooted out, returned, and put back into the process of educating our kids, picking up our trash, keeping our city safe, and it really is important. It's not just do-gooder stuff. It really is important because people who pay their taxes in the city deserve an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. And if we can keep people from defrauding us, from misusing us, and plow that money back into the school district, back into libraries, back into the recreation department, back into all those departments that serve our kids, we will keep our residents here, maintain and expand our tax base, and be a better city for all of us. So I want to thank you all for your dedication, not only for your hard work and what you do at your job, but going above and beyond by agreeing to take on this task. And Ralph, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good morning. It is for me a pleasure and a true honor to have been asked to participate in this ceremony. As Amy mentioned, for the last 2 years, I had a front row seat to witness the commitment of Mayor Kenny and this administration to concepts of public integrity and transparency to a greater extent than anything I've ever observed in all the years that I've been either close to or involved with city government. So this is a great day of achievement for all of you, but it's also a great day of pride and achievement for the city of Philadelphia, for this administration, and for all of our fellow citizens. Would the new integrity officers please rise? All of them. I'm sorry, yes, I meant all of them. Raise your right hands and repeat after me. I, and state your names, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter. And that I will discharge the duties of my office and my position as integrity officer for the city of Philadelphia with fidelity. Congratulations.
Okay, we're going to call out your names one by one, and when we call out your names, if you would come forward, the mayor will shake your hand, and we have a small gift for you.
Non-reportable.
This is the Chief Integrity Officer here who says that it's okay. Okay, Crystal Baker, Integrity Officer for the Inspector General. Jane Baker from the Health Department. Michelle Bethel from Revenue. Michelle Brisbane from Streets. Sandra Carter from OIT.
Thank you.
Mark DiSilvestro from the Treasurer's Department. Edward Garcia from Commerce. Tara Godin from Homeless Services. Naomi Greenberg from Procurement.
Thank you.
Brett Johnson from DBHIDS. Kathleen Loney from the Mayor's Office.
Thank you.
Bernardino Lopez from CEO. Kathleen McColgan from Revenue. Thomas McDade, Public Property. James Morse, 311.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Orlin, also from Behavioral Health. Ann Pasquarello, L&I.
Thank you.
Stephen Robertson, OIT.
Thank you.
Tara Saunders from the prisons. Kenneth Shepard from Parks and Rec. Sarah Stevenson, Water.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Wayne Stokes from PHDC and OHCD. Stephanie Tipton from the Chief Administrative Office. See, we couldn't get rid of Stephanie. David Torres from the Managing Director's Office. Donna Trent, PRA. Lindsay Tucker So from OACCE. There's that.
Thank you.
Bill Twardzik from Labor. Greg Verado from the prisons. I don't know where he is. There he is. Beth Wetzel from Finance.
Thank you very much.
Linda Yurkov from the Records Department.
Thank you very much.
Carl Shuko from Fire. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Robert Rasler from Fleet Management. And Carolyn Brown from OCEO.
Thank you very much.
I think that covers everybody. Anybody I missed? Okay, thank you all. Okay. Okay, this is my favorite part of my job. I get to announce the award for the person who represents honesty and integrity in the city. The Inspector General and the Chief Integrity Officer's Joan Markman Award for Integrity. This award was previously named the Inspector General's Integrity Award, but after Joan Markman, who was our first Chief Integrity Officer, passed away in 2015, the award was renamed and reestablished in Joan's memory and in her honor. Before I actually present the award to Ralph, I just want to say a few words about Joan, who we are very, very proud to honor. She was a true public servant. She was my partner in integrity, as Ellen is now. She was also my advisor, and she was also my good friend. Joan and I came together from the federal government with the goal of helping ensure that the city operated honestly and with integrity. We were part of the message that, as former prosecutors, we were not going to tolerate fraud or corruption in city government. Joan sent that message loud and clear to the whole city and to anybody who had any dealings with the city. But she also did much more. She was responsible for many, many good changes in the city. Most importantly, a more open and honest government than we had seen in the past. She helped establish that integrity was simply a way of life in the city. It was not just her department as the Chief Integrity Officer, but just the way life is in the city, the way we are, and the way we operate. She inspired all of us to make hard choices, to make the right choices, and we were inspired to do that every single day through her. The city was very, very lucky to have her as the first Chief Integrity Officer. I was very lucky to have her as my friend, and her mark is really permanent in city government. Having said all of this wonderful things about Joan, I can tell you also that our new Chief Integrity Officer, Ellen Kaplan, has easily and seamlessly stepped right into that role and has continued to promote integrity and honesty in the way that Joan has done it and in a way that would make Joan proud. So now I am really, really pleased to present the Award for Integrity to Ralph DiPietro. Okay, clap. Ralph has been our integrity officer for 6 years, and he has worked very, very closely and very, very extensively with the Office of the Inspector General. As the mayor said, it is no secret that there were many problems with L&I in the past. There were criminal indictments at all levels of L&I, and that was the old L&I. We have seen enormous cultural change. We have an entirely new L&I, and that is in large part because of the work that Ralph has done and the message that Ralph has sent out through Dave Perry, our wonderful commissioner, and from the mayor at the top levels of that. Just last summer, there were 5 L&I inspectors who reported that contractors had attempted to bribe them. Those L&I inspectors did not keep the money. They immediately reported it to Ralph. That is a sea change from what used to happen in the past. In the past, it was all too common for the inspectors to simply keep the money. That was 5 L&I inspectors last summer, and that number increases every single day. We are getting more and more situations of people reporting that somebody tried to bribe them than we are getting complaints of people taking bribes. As I said, a complete sea change in L&I. And in large part, that's because Ralph has instilled such a sense of pride in L&I employees. He's changed the view that city employees were for sale to the view that city employees are honest and hardworking. He has done this every day by emphasizing that integrity is the most important thing in being an employee of L&I. He's arranged for Ellen Kaplan and me to speak to all new inspectors who come into L&I and emphasize how important integrity is, and Ralph is there at every one of those trainings. He helps ensure that everybody knows the message, that we are a city that operates honestly, and he sends that message. He says that it comes from Dave Perry, the commissioner, and Dave also is there at many of these meetings. Ralph, in addition to changing the culture at L&I, he has been invaluable in many, many investigations with the Inspector General's office. Investigations that Ralph has helped us with have resulted in criminal convictions, in terminations, in resignations, suspensions, and demotions for people who were not doing the right thing. He's also been a very important part in some wide-ranging efforts by the city and by L&I, and also with the Inspector General's office. And one example of that is the demolition inspection process in L&I. And he worked with the Inspector General's office, with outside agencies, and that led to many, many new processes and procedures, training, and guidance for L&I inspectors. I'm just going to read you a sentence from the nomination. Dave Perry nominated Ralph for this award, and one of the things that Dave said in his nomination was, despite his extraordinarily busy schedule and the weight of responsibility he holds, Ralph makes integrity issues his top priority and takes these matters personally and with the seriousness they deserve. In addition to everything Ralph has done, I just want to say on a personal note that Ralph is always a pleasure to work with. He's everything that an integrity officer should be. He's discreet, he's resourceful, he's reliable, he's vigilant, and he's basically just a pleasure to work with. He's always available, he is always ready to help, and I want to just end by saying that his humility, his insight, and his persistence have made him an enormous asset to the city. Joan would be very pleased that Ralph is the recipient of the award in her name, and I'm pleased to present the award to Ralph. Come forward.
Wow, very humbling. If I can, let me just indulge you for a moment. When I was in a meeting and doing my job, and I got a sort of an urgent message from Kathy Dubeck that said, the Inspector General's on the phone for you. And you integrity officers, it's not unusual to get a call from the Inspector General's office. But Kathy made sure she told me that it was Amy Kurland. And so I thought, that's probably not a good thing, right? Because the Inspector General is calling me. So I thought, okay, let me go and make that phone call. And I excused myself from the meeting, and I went and called Ms. Kurland. And the first thing she asked me is, so how you doing? And so I'm going to be completely forthright here. I lied. I said, great, everything's going great. And she said, well, it's my pleasure to sort of let you know that you've been selected as this year's Joan Markman Award winner. And I was completely floored. And so just to restore your faith in me, I actually admitted to her that I lied a minute earlier about doing great. It was a particularly difficult day up till that point. And so she was very gracious, as she always is, and sort of explained, what would happen. And I was really excited, I have to admit, as much as sort of the attention is a little bit overwhelming. But I was excited. And then I started to think, about all the folks that really deserve recognition too, that sort of don't get it necessarily. So I won't be long here. I'm just going to thank a few folks that have been particularly helpful and really represent the best the city has to offer. So let me start first. Former Commissioner Fran Burns was an absolutely incredible woman. She carried out her office with such dignity, and she was so supportive, and really someone who was easy to learn from. I'm grateful for all the good counsel she gave me and for all the confidence she had in me. Deputy Commissioner Mike Maynor, which is without a doubt one of the hardest working people I've ever met. He's the first one in the morning. He was the last one to leave at night. He believed in what he did. He believed in the role the department had, and he never, ever wavered. Current Commissioner Perry, who, integrity isn't just a thing to him. I mean, some insight, he's so serious about it. This guy pays extra for stuff. Like, he goes to a place and buys things and pays more just to make sure there's no chance that there was anyone thinking he got something for free. This is true. He really does believe it. It's not just words. There's several of the executive staff, folks that I work with, Karen Guss and Rebecca Swanson, my fellow integrity officer, Ann Pasquarella. These are people that work really hard. The city's absolutely lucky to have them. They could go anywhere. They could go anywhere and do anything they wanted. These are incredibly talented people, smart, motivated. But they believe in the mission of LNI, and they believe in integrity, and they do it. And they do it every day, and they lead by example. There's a number of managers, Bernice Johnson and Jerry James, and these are folks who do their work every day. There's very little recognition for what they do. I mean, I certainly appreciate it, but they do what needs to be done. There's many inspectors and supervisors, as Ms. Carlin said. They sort of turn over these kinds of things. It's not easy. No one wants to be the person that sort of says, hey, I can't accept that. But they do it. They understand why that's important. They understand that we're changing the way the department is viewed. We need to have, the citizenry needs to have confidence that we're out there doing our job and that we're not for sale. And the only way that comes about is by making integrity an action, something that we do every day. There's so many people, I'm sure I'm going to miss a few. My friend Al McCarthy. Al didn't have to tell you he had integrity. Nope. If you knew Al, you knew he had integrity. He operated with it as a guiding principle. He did it better than most. So, my son Michael and my daughter Susie are here. My son Ralphie, who's actually working, a good young man that he should. They're sort of the reason I do what I do. I think they keep me grounded. I always tried to tell them, parents don't teach, really. Parents should show. And there's a difference, and it's a subtle difference, but it's an important one. And I've always tried to take that to heart in thinking of how, what I wanted them to be and what I wanted for them. And last, of course, I can't not mention my wife, Susan, who is absolutely the kindest and most selfless person I've ever known. It's really incredible. She makes life a joy. And even on those days where it's just so terrible and everything's going wrong and we're getting beat up left and right, I can say at the end of the day, I just look forward to driving home and saying it. It makes all the difference. So thank you all. I'm sorry if I missed some of you folks. I know I could go on and on with friends and folks that I've met and have influence, and I really admire. But I just want to say thank you all, and God bless.
Okay, thank you all for coming. We'll see you all again in a few months at our next Integrity Officer meeting. Have a great day.